Greetings, everybody, and welcome to the Gauntlet. How's it going, Lefong?
Hello, David. Hello, old friend.
Yeah,
It's been a while. It's great to collab with you. I call it a collab, although I'm your guest,
yeah,
But it's great to be on ChessDojo Live. Hello to everyone from both chats today. It is an honor to be a guest on your show. And
yeah.
congratulations, by the way. It's a great show. I did some
Thank you.
practice yesterday, and people love the format. And I've been watching myself, and
Right.
I've been impressed with some of your guests. The bar is really high, so I'm gonna do my best today.
Yeah. Yeah, the bar is pretty high. We've had a few good players come in here. Let me put up the leaderboard so people can see what you're talking about. I like to start with the leaderboard up here and the handicaps over there, and people can sort of start to get some info on the show before we get started, because I think every week we've got a few new people who haven't seen the concept before. And those of you in chat can help them out by hitting !info if people come in later in the show and are like, what's going on? Because I'm not going to stop every minute to explain the point of the show. But yeah, I'm super happy to have you here. We have had some grandmasters participate. And when I first invited Lefong, I think one of your questions was like, is it going to be like all GMs and me or something like that? And I was like, but Lefong, like, we're not just inviting you because you're my friend. We're inviting you because you are a legitimately great blitz player, right?
Thanks for the kind words, but wait to see my score before giving compliments.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? The Gauntlet's a tough thing, but Lefong's done a bit of practice. And as a fantastic blitz player, it does make sense for you to try the Gauntlet, even if you're not a super GM, right?
I'm definitely not a super GM, but really looking forward to it. And I love challenges. I never back up from a challenge. And when you offer it, I had to say yes. So it's a pleasure to be here today.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're happy to have you. And if I'm on your stream right now, hello to all of Lefong's fans as well. I'll just quickly say hi to you guys. Thanks for sharing Lefong with us today. And, I hope that you'll enjoy this show, but it sounds like you will. Since like the practice went over well yesterday, I think that's a good sign for, what this show has to offer. But anyway, we're not just going to sit here talking about the show. We're going to do the show. Folks, here's how the show works. Lefong is going to play 3 people from chat in specific rating bands. That keeps the performance fairly consistent or comparable from week to week. So we have to be very fair about those ratings, because in this show, every contestant is competing against every other contestant, right? It's kind of like running a 100-meter dash by yourself, but like your time gets compared to other people. So it's got to be the same 100 meters. So he's going to play 3 opponents in increasing difficulty. The first player needs to be between 800 and 1200 rapid. And then the second player will need to be between 1,200 and 1,600 in rapid, which becomes, a pretty normal experienced club player. And then between 1,600 and 2,000 is the third round opponent. That's where you're playing somebody who's very strong for an amateur. But not strong enough for Lefong or our other contestants. To make it interesting, the whole point of this show is that the contestants must take on handicaps. They have to take away their time to think, or they have to take away their eyes to see the board, or they have to hamstring their knights or their rooks or something. They've got to pick from the menu that you see over here and take on as many handicaps as they kind of think they can get away with, to still win the game. Because the handicaps may add up to 1,000 points. If you draw the game or lose the game, you get no points, just nothing. And so they're going to have to try and maximize those points, but still be able to win the game. There is a point scoring system that I'll just quickly mention, which is that if, for example, they choose no promotion and they end up promoting, or they chose pawns can only move 1 square, and like in the end game they forget and they move their last pawn 2 squares for no reason, they lose that number of points. It doesn't negate the whole score of the round, but they lose that number of points. So if you're going for no promotion, or pawns only move 1, in that case you would get negative 100 instead of 100. And that doesn't like completely end you the way losing a round ends you, but the negative points make it pretty hard to get a very top score. So I think probably, we're not going to see a lot of people gamble like 3,000 points and just see which ones they get. But who knows? Someone said, have we ever had somebody come in on this show? This was someone in your chat yesterday, Lefong, when you were practicing. Said, has anyone ever come into the show, said, I'll take every single handicap and then just see which ones they end up making? And I said, it'd be interesting to see that, but nobody's used that strategy yet.
I mean, if Ray didn't do it, I don't think anyone should do it. So you were talking about running 100 meters. Like, you know how I feel right now? It's like Usain Bolt already ran and he made a
and you're next.
Time, and I'm next. But it's good. I'm here to have fun. I want everyone to enjoy the content. And by the way, guys, I just want to mention that we're both live. Like, both channels are live right now. And while I'm going to be playing, I'm going to be muting myself. And David's probably going to mute himself on his channel. So I really encourage everyone to be watching both streams at the same time. So you get the excellent commentary from ChessDojo and the emotions from me while playing. So it's going to be a good experience.
Yeah. All right, great. So let's get into it. Who is our volunteer for 800 to 1200? Please tell us your name. We will tell Lefong your name and rating, and then Lefong can use that information to pick his handicaps for the first round.
I should send some of my subs to rig it.
Send a sub? Somebody really loyal to throw the game to you? I've run the gauntlet against my loyal dojoers, and they did not take it easy on me. I failed several of the things I went for. So I maybe slightly over risked or something because I ended up getting a lot of negative points.
Yeah. I'm also running some predictions on my channel. Those are so much fun. And I see that you guys do it often. I was there for at least like 2 or 3 of your gauntlet shows. For Ray, I was definitely there. Even for Darshan, I think I saw. And hello, thanks for the follow, Mr. Kostya. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. I'm not gonna call out all the follows, but he deserves me. Him.
All right, and we've got people giving us money and saying thanks for having Lefong on the show. So
wow,
you've got some fans over on our channel too, and the donations that come in go into this prize, the prize. I figured the gauntlet, we'd call it the prize, but it basically works like a jackpot. We sort of tabulate money throughout the season, and then we divide that money out to the players who finish the top 3 in the preseason. Right now, we're only in the preseason, so getting in the top 3 of the leaderboard gets the players a share of the prize, 50, 30, 20%. And then in the regular season, we'll start fundraising a new pot, and that will go to any player who comes in some week and beats the leaderboard is going to get to clear out 80% of the pot is what I'm thinking we're going to do for the regular season. Then we leave 20% to keep growing for the next week. Otherwise, it would really, really be lame to come in the week after Ray, right? Like, he clears the pot and you're like, okay, I'm playing for $100 instead of $1,000. Okay. So yeah. And for those of you who are using Cheers, I'll tabulate that manually later and add it in. And thank you, everybody. We obviously have a great prize fund. It's past our expectations of fundraising, so we're very happy with that. But the players won't mind if even more gets thrown in. All right. So it is Marco Batman, your first opponent. He is rated 1160.
Wow, maximizing the bracket over here.
Maximizing the bracket. He was the only volunteer I had this time, so if you had somebody rated 820 in your chat, you should have sent them over.
No. Hey, I told you I love challenges, so I'm gonna beat Mr. Marco Batman.
Yeah. All right. So Marco Batman 1160. What do you choose from our menu of ways to hurt yourself?
I feel like I'm at McDonald's and I have to pick between McChickens, McNuggets. It's so hard. You want to pick everything, right? I'm going to start with the 3x 3-minute time odds.
All right. For those of you who don't know, time odds can be taken in as many increments as the player wants. If you take more than 3, you lose on time before the game starts, so that's not good. But Lefong is taking the most you can. He's giving up 9 minutes out of his 10 minutes of think time, so he's got 1 minute to play this whole game. Yikes.
It's pretty much the only time control I play anyway, so it's not going to make a huge difference.
All right, not just a blitz expert, a bullet expert.
No promotion.
No promotion. Goodbye, endgame.
And then I'm going to take pawns only move 1.
For another 100 points, up to 500.
And I'm going to flex my French, and I'm going to say no prise en passant.
Okay. There we go.
Well, you can also flex it, David. You surprised me by speaking French. I didn't even know. I didn't remember from the time we met. Your French is excellent, you know.
Yeah. En fait, quand je t'ai visité, on parlait en français tout le temps. Avec ta famille aussi. On n'a pas parlé d'anglais.
Je me rappelle pas. Je crois que mon père est dans le chat. Like, my dad is in the chat, I think.
Oui.
Like,
oui.
Oh my God, my dad, maybe he doesn't remember you, but Dad, this is David.
Yeah.
He crashed at my place and he made an IM norm that summer. My dad might remember you.
At your place, Lefong, it was his place. We were kids.
Okay, sure, his place. Okay, our place.
Merci,
Fine.
Monsieur Roy, de m'avoir accueilli il y a 18 ans.
Wow, this is great. No, guys, David stayed at my parents' place like years ago.
Yeah.
And
it was awesome.
It was great. You played like 2 or 3 tournaments in Montreal, right? Like
played the Quebec
that
Championships, and then
invitational one too,
and then came back to play the next Quebec Championship. They had like an invitational and an open one.
Yeah, exactly.
They stopped inviting non-Canadians to the closed one after my performance there.
Well, no wonder. I still remember. Was it 8 out of 9?
8.5. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry, David. 8.5 out of 9 with an average rating of at least like 22 or 2300, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was a strong tournament.
Yeah. It was pretty good.
So that was the last time they invited Americans to.
I felt very comfortable at your house. You should hold more tournaments in Montreal for me.
Yes. Well, I do host some IM norm tournaments. Kostya came to my place. He played as an IM in my tournament.
Oh man!
If you want, everyone to visit,
great.
let me know. Yeah.
All right. So
okay,
when it's time to travel for tournaments again, folks, IM norms at Lefong's house.
Yes.
All right. So we're at 500 points. Is this your choice? 550.
You underestimate me. Rooks can move 5 moves each.
Oh, he's killing his rooks too. The poor rooks. 675 points.
Bishop only move 1 or 2 squares.
Oh my God, no way. The bishops too.
I'm not done.
He's not done.
And knights can't touch rim.
Who's left? His queens can move and his king can move, I guess. It's not a lot.
Yeah. Well, I will just let you adjust the layout with the selected handicap. I'm done here.
All right. Well, we're looking at 950 points. Lefong is not trying to get second place here. I don't know if I can write all these down. All right, let me try and type.
You can, because I could yesterday, so.
3 minutes.
Yeah, so while David writes those challenges, I'm going to tell you guys my strategy. So if I'm going to play an opening with pawns only moving 1 square, it's most likely a hippo. And the hippo, often the knights go to e2 and d2. So they're very far from the rim anyways. So that's one thing. And for the rest, well, tune into my stream and you're going to find out. See, selling my stream over here.
No, you know what? Actually, I had to merge new cells. So you have taken more handicaps total than anyone before.
Oh, because you unmerged them. Or I unmerged them.
Oh, I did?
Like it fits perfectly on my layout.
Okay.
Like on my layout, it's maxed to this.
All right, folks.
No, Blavis. I'm not gonna win under 30 moves if I'm gonna take 8 pawn moves to move my pawns and like get on my bishop and stuff.
So
I think this is more than enough.
If Lefong could make 950 points, that would be more than anyone has scored in the first round other than Ray. So this is a big total he's going for. I'm gonna hide the leaderboard now so we can go to the selected handicaps. I'm going to hide the donation bar to show more of the handicaps he's taken on. Even that's not enough.
I'm so sorry, David. So wait a sec.
That's all right. You're doing great.
Who took the most?
That's what people want.
Yeah,
they
right?
want to see the excitement of it. So that's fine. We can get it in here. Knights can't touch rim. There we go. All right.
Wow.
On the fly, making that little adjustment. We can fit the donation bar in. Nope, no donations. All right, folks. So I'm gonna start the game. Lefong, what's your username on chess.com?
Lefong, the exact same as my coach.
I'm typing out the command, but I'm gonna give you 20 seconds to mute your stuff so you don't hear me jabbering while you're playing. You can focus on bulleting. Is there a verb for blitzing?
Yeah.
Bulleting.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
Not too sure.
All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna mute myself right now. I'm gonna get myself prepared.
Good luck, Marco. Get ready. Give him a hard time. And we're gonna be off with our first game here in just a couple seconds. Now, round 1. Lefong versus Marco. Does Lefong look ready? I think now he might be ready. Okay, he's ready. He's ready. That's the ready clap. Boom. There it is. And he's off. G3. He was ready. Nice. All right. Do I have the board showing? Some people have gotten mad at me for not always showing the board on move 1. Well, you got the board. Has he violated any rules yet? No. No. He's playing the hippo, as he said. Knight's coming into the center, far from the edge. Is he allowed to castle? He is allowed to castle. All right. No violations yet. The way it works is if Lefong's time ever gets down to 9 minutes, he loses the game. 0 points for the round. That would be the 1 minute. That would be losing on time. Other handicaps, you just lose 1 point. You just lose the points as negatives. But if you lose on time, you lose the game. He has not yet violated that pawns move 1 because all his pawns have only moved 1 square. He hasn't moved a pawn 2 squares. All right. So far setting up the hedgehog, very good. I expect he'll play c3, c4 at some point to strike in the center because otherwise c3 just blocks the bishop on b2. So I think that's his plan. Oh, but he's just putting every pawn on the third rank to make sure he doesn't accidentally move 1, 2. But f3 would be bad, right? You're not going to play f3, are you, Lefong? c4. Okay, very good. I flip this around. So far, he's got more than 10 minutes. Let's put Lefong on the bottom of this. We've always had the contestant on the bottom of the screen, right? So here's Lefong down here on the white side. And yeah, only the f-pawn could still trip him up as far as the f-pawn. These bishops are on long diagonals, but remember, they don't actually see the whole diagonal. They only see like 2 squares ahead. The bishops can move 1 or 2 squares. That's like the most points. That's 200 points out of the different like piece handicaps he's taken, and it's the roughest. That is really a big hit on the bishops. I would say with that, again, I'm just sort of guessing, but I would say with that you probably want to trade your bishops and play an endgame with pieces other than your bishops. He also wants to not play a rook endgame. Rook endgames are the worst because you need to move your rook so many times it'll die. He also doesn't have promotion, so he doesn't even want to go to the endgame. That's right. He wants to win this in the middle game somehow. So he's looking for some kind of tactic, probably, involving knights and queens in the center. Those are his pieces that can actually do anything. His bishop inches closer to the hanging e5 pawn. Had he taken the pawn with his knight, his opponent could take it back with the queen. And then if he takes with his bishop, he loses negative 200 points. That wrecks his score. Instead of playing for 950, he'd be playing for a max of 550. Way too bad, right? So he inches closer to it. Bishop c3, and then, the bishop strikes. Now, normally, you guys remember, bishops don't like to be in the center of the board, right? They say tucked away where they can observe everything from a distance. But that's different. This bishop, being a bad bishop that can only move 1 or 2 steps at a time, it needs to be in the center, and it wants to trade itself. So there you see it, his bishop's in the center. And it's going to be happy to get traded for this knight or this bishop. Ideally, he'd rather trade it for the bishop. That's why he hasn't just instantly traded on the knight. He would love to see this knight move and trade it for this bishop. Knight e3 is clever. If black plays knight g4 check, trying to win his piece, he's got knight takes knight. I think it may be a good idea to sometimes use the lower rated player's own mistakes against them instead of trying to like come up with everything yourself. Maybe sometimes hang around, let them make a mistake. His rooks have not moved yet at all, so they each have 5 moves left. We'll have to keep track of that when he starts moving them. Yeah, he can't play the Benoni either because his pawns only move 1 square. There, he gets the trade that he prefers, bishop for bishop. And here comes an amazing pawn center. It took a while to get there, but it is looking terrific. So in normal chess, Lefong's position would just be overwhelming, amazing, beautiful here, right? 2 pawns in the center, up a pawn. Black C pawn is a bit weak. But normally you would also see white play moves like rook c1 and rook d1 just to add their power generally to the center, even when you don't know exactly what you're going to do with them yet. But Lefong is being very conservateur. He's like really, really hanging on to those rook moves, right? He's saving all 5 of them for when they really count, and now he traps a bishop. Position's getting really good. Who are you guys betting on? Is there a prediction? I'm feeling like we could bet on Lefong now with an extra piece. And he's got 52 out of 60 seconds left to play the game. I'm feeling pretty confident for Lefong at the moment. Now, the next thing he wants to do is probably find a chance to trade a rook on an open file. Either that or use the knights to just hop all over the place and find a tactic. You know, knight c4, knight d6. Something like that could come up at some point. Is he going to be willing to spend 1 rook move on putting a rook on d1? No, not even. Not even that. Knight c4 is coming for sure. I mean, Lefong knows about that square from being on the wrong side of it in the Benoni. It's a fantastic square for the knight. Comes with a free tempo on the queen. Perfect. But I'm curious to see where he goes from here. I have no idea what he's going to do next with this position, right? Like, it's a good position, but is he ever going to move these rooks? How is he going to make this work out? He doesn't want to trade knights here. Trading knights is bad for him. Yeah. Okay. He's really progressed a lot by practicing yesterday. Like, move by move, I know some of the things he does or doesn't want to do. Oh, f3. He succeeded in moving every pawn 1 square. Maybe he played f3 in order to play f4. Oh, my goodness. He's got his eye on it. All right. We're green lighting pawns move 1 square. That's what f3 was for. I was like, that's weird. Kind of e4 pawn was defended. Bishop on g2. No, he was getting ready to attack the king. And now he plays e5 without a care in the world. Wow. The calculation must be really fast. I guess if pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, Black won't be able to win the pawn on e5 immediately because the rook will be looking at the queen, right, through these pawns. Knight sacrifice by Marco. Lefong looking very good here, and the knight could take on f6, but he finally finds something worth moving a rook. Finally finds something worth moving a rook. And smashes it right in the face of the queen. And I would guess that next move he's going to be willing to spend a tempo on this rook. I could be wrong, of course, but that's my guess. Now that he's here, I think he's ready to... It's clear enough that this rook should go to f1 probably. And then he can start looking for tactics against this king. This is looking very good for him. 2 extra pieces. And all he's got to do is either trade his rooks for the opponent's rooks or checkmate the king. It seems like if he just plunks his rooks on the f-file, that's going to happen. Wow. This is a really, really good start for Lefong, in my opinion. Really good. Okay, now he just has to calculate a crazy move. He's going to take like 10 seconds on this. Queen takes, yeah. But that's the one move of the game you really want to make sure that like Marco didn't have some tactic in mind that you missed. Okay, stuff's coming off. Now he's wanting to play rook f1, but thinking a moment and doesn't do it. Yeah, he's very worried about his rook moves. He's going to give some checks and see if he can't find a tactic against this rook here that's undefended. So he's just going to like probe or something? No. Okay, here comes the rook. This bishop's going to take 2 moves to get to d5, but I think that's going to be a good square at some point soon. The bishop's got to limp its way into the game. He's doing very, very well here. The queen's on the dark squares, the bishop's on the light squares. Together they can do everything. Yeah, no rule against using the pawns, so use the pawns. If this pawn comes to g5, it covers the flight square on h6. That makes it easier for the queen to come in without giving the king somewhere to go. So that's going to be nice for him. And Marco just trying to trade everything off, but Lefong's already got a queen. He doesn't need to promote to win this game. He can just trade off the last rook. It's over. We can score the points for him. This is done. 25 seconds. Lefong can do no wrong. Bring the king in, checkmate. 30 more seconds than he needed. Bring the king to f5 probably. He's going to keep ignoring that c-pawn. Maybe you could play queen takes c1 checkmate somehow. That would be fun, right? Okay, he doesn't go for that. But everything wins. It's all just a question of taste and fun. Do we have a 1200 to 1600 ready for round 2? You guys might want to get ready. Lefong's going to be ready for you in about 1 second here. And he scores! And he scores! We're going to throw an axe. We're going to turn on our sound. Boom! Lefong with the first points.
I screamed on my stream.
Yeah.
Because I was so happy. But, wow. Okay.
950, the second highest first round tally we've ever seen, and the most different handicaps taken in a single round yet. You were really good at remembering what your handicaps were, I have to say.
Well, I took everything, so basically it's really easy. Whatever you move, it's only 1 square, 2 squares.
Everything you have, you can keep track of them all. Very, very nice. Fantastic start.
Thank you, David.
Bravo. You ready
Thank
for the second opponent?
Yes.
All right. Who's ready? Who's ready for round 2? All right, we've got Dritman. I don't think Dritman has played on this show before. So that would be good. We haven't had Yak Schwag either. You don't need to be a sub. We don't particularly encourage subbing on our channel. Just come hang out. Anybody's welcome. All right. Do you want to play Dritman 1507 or Yak Schwag 1561?
The one who has been the most active in chat, let's say.
Okay, that's probably Dritman. He was commenting all day in our classical tournament. So Dritman 13 is going to be your next opponent. Dritman 13 is rated 1500 in Rapid.
Man, that's tough.
And
again,
now
maximizing the bracket.
Now we're going to redo the menu. I'm going to call up the menu, folks. You can see what Lefong is choosing from here. Here's the menu. And here's where he stands on the leaderboard. We can, while he stresses out, we can also look at this beautiful score, because that's also a nice thing to have here.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take... Wait. You didn't remove a 3-minute time odds. You knew I was going to pick it, right?
I knew you were going to pick it. Or I had a suspicion I would save myself.
Okay. So I'm going to pick it again.
I should have left it here,
no
too.
Promotion. Yeah, you might as well do Control Z and just like remove whatever.
Just remove everything I've just done. Control Z. He's taking everything again. No, there's no way against a 1500 you're going to do all of that again.
Are you daring me?
I mean, that's a little bit the role of the host, yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to take no promotion. Pawns move 1. No en passant. Okay, and now the real question here. Knights cannot touch rim for sure. Yeah, exactly. You're just doing this. Yeah, this is better. Knights can't touch rim. I'm definitely gonna take it.
Okay.
And it's a question of, do I risk the rook, because the rook is really tough. I'm definitely not doing the bishop thing against a 1500. Like this is way too hard. But I'm gonna, oh my goodness, because I had such a good round. Like I might as well like go for it, right? With such a good round.
You have a chance. You could shoot for being really close to Ray. I mean, there's GMs to come, so it'd be nice to have a huge score so they can't pass you.
Okay, rook get 5 moves each.
Rook gets 5 moves each. All right. I mean, you're on fire today, so why not go for it? That would be for a total of 750. Only the bishops removed compared to last time.
Let's do it.
All right. That's good with me.
Yes. Just give me a few seconds to remove the menu. David, I'm really nervous. Anything you can do to like pump me up? And
you've done great so far. I mean, success should remove the nerves. You're all good.
Or it puts more pressure because I really like if I failed the first one, I'm just playing for fun. But now like I really want to like
you really want to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
Slap yourself. Slap yourself. Pinch yourself. All right.
Okay, David.
And then mute
I'm ready
yourself.
in like 30 seconds, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Good luck. All right. So I'm going to go set up this match now, everybody. We're going to take off the leaderboard and the menu. And now you guys can see just what he's selected for this round. We are going to turn donations back on now. We can actually fit the donations in this time with one less. And I'll start to slowly type the match command for him to give him a few seconds to get everything set there. I think Dritman is a 13 at the end of Dritman, right? Is that correct? I hope I got that right. Sometimes it's hard to remember all the random numbers. All right, and I think we're good to go. I'll just hit the match command. Hopefully it's going to go. You guys ready? Who's going to take game 2? Dritman versus Lefong. He seems confused about something. But he's coming in fast anyway. Still got his full 10 minutes. And he's feeling it. He's feeling it. He's feeling both confident and nervous at the same time. So we'll see how that goes. Dritman is an aggressive player. Dritman's not just going to sit on the position. He comes with E5. He's ready to fight. Ready to fight. The big question will be whether Dritman uses a good amount of his 10 minutes, I think. Because if he competes in bullet, it's not going to happen, right? He's going to have to use some of those 10 minutes. You can see how aggressive he is with G4 coming in as well. Lefong has figured out by now that he's got an aggressive opponent on his hands. So sometimes when someone plays G4, you can just break down their structure with H5, right? And it keeps them from ever playing F5. But here, Lefong's pawns only move one square at a time, so G4 is perfectly safe for white. If Lefong plays H6 to try and play H5, Dritman can see it coming. He can set up H3, Rook G1 if he needs, or he can just play F5 before H5 even comes. So Lefong doesn't even try to counter that G-pawn for now. He wants to set up some kind of counterplay, try and make the white pieces somehow awkward in the center. You know, looking at like pawn forks or C4 trapping the bishop. He wants to introduce those kind of problems for Dritman. And he probably knows that's the kind of stuff that a 1500 player can fall into if they're playing quickly. But you see Dritman using 5 or 10 seconds here or there, playing more like a 10-minute pace than a 1-minute pace. So that's bad news for Lefong. And putting the rook opposite the bishop. So a 1500, one of the things about 1500s, obviously they still make mistakes. But the thing about 1500s is sometimes they play good moves too. That's one of like the big differences, you know? So he played F5. He knows this G-pawn can't, like he doesn't have F5 covered, but he sees, folks, I'm just going to make a move to show you guys something for a second. Here, he sees that Lefong can't win this pawn on F5 because of rook takes G7, right? So this is like very, very good play. He's threatening to just kill Lefong. And Lefong's time, you see it coming down precipitously after this rook G1 F5 idea. That was 27 seconds on E takes F5 out of 1 minute that he has to play the game. So he's under extreme pressure now. Extreme pressure. And objectively, Dritman, of course, has a winning position here. He can crack him with E6. He can crack him with F6 followed by E6. He could play bishop F4. He could play knight G5. He can crack him. He could play bishop g5 and then just plunk the bishop on f6, because if the knight takes, it's done. He goes for e6. And this is like exactly what Drittman wants, is a position like this. And probably exactly what Lefong didn't want was like an aggressive opponent this round, actually. Because Lefong, handicapping his pawns, has to play the opening all funny. And playing the opening all funny is like okay against somebody who just sits there and sort of like puts their pieces on squares and waits for you. Like in the first round you saw, Marco just kind of waited there, and Lefong slowly played c3 and a3 and c4 and sort of got a position in the center eventually. But here Drittman's like, I see that it's taking you like, several extra moves to get a position, so here I come. Yeah, Lefong is a cool guy. He's always had a good haircut ever since I've known him, and we were probably about 20, 21 years old, 20 years old when we met. All right, knight g5 coming to f7. His king can castle. That's good news. But he has to choose now. Does he want to castle kingside where white pieces are pointing, or castle queenside and lose an exchange to the knight f7, or wait a move and let white put the knight on f7, and cut off that option of castling queenside? Oh, Lefong really wants to think, but it's bullet. He wants to think. Poor guy. All right, he's going for something. He's got to go for something. Drittman was thinking of playing bishop f4, I think, taking even more space away from like his queen, right? Trying to get her back onto the first rank. Actually, yeah, look at this, folks. If Lefong had castled queenside, would bishop f4 have just won the queen? I think it would have. That's just evil. That's just evil. And that's the thing. 1500s, they do still make bad moves, but they've got strengths. Once you're over 1200 and you're a real chess player, people start to build certain things that they're really good at. Right? And so they have strengths as well as weaknesses instead of just weaknesses. And Drittman's playing some really, really instructive moves here, even though he's not the contestant. He's still allowed to teach us something. D takes c5, probably a good move too. If he wants to go bishop f4, then he won't have a pawn hanging on d4. And that's exactly what he's doing. I think the knight might come to f7 next. He's looking to slaughter our contestant. And Lefong's realized he just has to like hope and play quickly. Like he can't afford to try and solve this situation. He's got to hope that Drittman plays quickly too. But so far Drittman's time usage is perfect, Now I might think for like 2 minutes, even if I were Drittman, just be like, all right, crack your knuckles, sit back, stretch, and then just look for a kill. Look for something juicy. Okay, he goes for queen f2. That saves his bishop on d3 from this c4 threat. And it lines up for bishop e5, I suppose, is kind of like what he wants to do himself soon. Kostya thinks it's still double-edged. He thinks that Lefong knows how to handle this. I think it's very dangerous, but I am seeing some possible counterplay, except the bishop stopping rook b8. Oh, that's really annoying. How's he doing on all the rules? He hasn't broken any of the pawn rules, hasn't promoted, hasn't moved his rooks yet, and his knights are still in the center. Okay, he castles queenside. His king is actually literally without squares it can move to. Knight f7 wins in exchange, but he gets a pawn, and his rooks were, they were going to die anyway once they moved 5 times. So he doesn't mind losing the exchange. I think Lefong's actually reasonably happy with what just happened. That's probably what he's telling his chat. He's like, I'm okay with this. Drittman thinking does give Lefong time to think, yes. But it's more important that Drittman play some reasonably good moves himself than worry about his opponent thinking. Because if they each play really fast moves without thinking, Lefong's moves will be better. Lefong's an amazing bullet player. Leaves the knight hanging and goes for it? Oh, man. Even Lefong is excited about his own play there. That's crazy. That's crazy aggressive. That knight can come right back out, can't it? Maybe he'll just play queen takes f7 and say, hey, I got the a2 pawn for free. Or will he go for a kill? Yeah, that was ingenious. Just got one pawn out of that and still captured the stupid knight. And he didn't have to spend a rook move on it. No rook takes h8. That was quite a move. Drittman's not going to be happy about knight f7, queen f7. That's not going to make him happy. His king does not have much of a house anymore. I'm calling this game a toss-up now. It's a toss-up. Unless the move bishop e5 wins the game. Or bishop g5. If this bishop can just win the game, then it's not going to be a toss-up. Oh, spent one of his rook moves. Drittman could sack everything on f6 and probably not lose the game right now. He chooses something else. But honestly, like right here, this is like the power of the handicaps. Lefong can't promote, and his rook dies after 5 moves. That's already 1 move. It's a second move to recapture. If he just traded on f6, Lefong would have been in big trouble. Even though that involves ultimately sacking a rook for one of these pieces, right? Bishop takes, queen takes, rook takes. That is simply winning for white given our rules. I mean, Lefong could maybe like win the game by violating all the rules, the pawn promotion and the rook 5 moves. I think he'd have to lose 2 of those to make that work. Okay, so king b1 was played, c4 from Lefong. The move he's been wanting to play the whole game. That bishop's in trouble, and now it's tough for Drit. Now it's really tough. Would have recaptured the rook instead of the bishop. On bishop takes f6, this rook can't recapture yet because the queen's in the way. So he's going to be forced to trade his queen. That's why bishop takes f6 is so good from the, like, you know, from the perspective of the viewer playing against the gauntlets here. It's forcing that queen trade, and then very, very hard for Lefong to win a game without promotion once you've traded his queen. But now after c4, ugh. Now he's in big trouble. You know, because he could do that whole sequence, and at the end, his bishop would still maybe be trapped on c4, or could his bishop get away at the end? No, the thing is, somewhere in that sequence, black would probably play pawn takes bishop attacking the knight. I think. It would have been a bit messy, but it's bullet. We can't go back. Lefong's got 11 seconds left. I don't think that's a problem for him. As long as he's got a position he's okay with, I don't think the time is yet a devastating problem for him. But 10 seconds is obviously pretty close. He had a move ready. Knight stops any more trades on that F file. And it doesn't touch the rim to do so. Now what Lefong wants to do is he wants to use his 2 minor pieces to checkmate the white king. Up to 12 seconds from 11. That's a nice little improvement. His own king is still a bit open, but so far Drittman hasn't actually managed to get these rooks really like juicing, right? I mean, he opened some area for them, and then he wasn't able to really get a lot of power out of them. Okay, now it's a critical moment. Lefong answers very quickly with knight e4. Wow. Okay, what's coming here? What's coming? You would expect Drittman to make a trade. Drittman's time usage is quite good. A little pre-move puts Lefong up to 9-13. Very nice. Very nice. Now this bishop's got to go back probably somewhere like c1. White has to play a little bit of defense, which is not fun. White's position is bad. White needs to sort of stick around now and make life tough for the opponent. Okay, Lefong's got a threat. Drittman's going to see it. Queen c4 check is crushing, actually. And Drittman sees that. Now rook takes g7. If Drittman finds that move, I think he'll actually come back and win this, even though he's down to his 1 minute. Lefong relieved by that pawn. Is it just going to be a queen trade, or does he see queen c4, bishop c6, rook g7? Oh my god. I mean, I can't root for anybody. Oh, he's going for a draw. Lefong can't take the draw. He's got to come up with some other kind of move. That's evil. Rook g7 is completely crushing here because queen g7, queen a7, winning the queen. Okay, he's just trying to slaughter the king in the center. He's not really sure what he's doing. He could still trade here and then take this. He could throw in a queen check on the 7th rank. Oh my goodness. I think Lefong's sort of running out of space here to win this game. I'm not really sure what trap is going to do it for him. Did he miss this move, or does he have bishop e5? He misses bishop e5 check! Lefong can't believe he's got a second chance at life. Bishop e5! Bishop e5! Oh, God. Drittman, and now bishop e5. Oh, man, no. Now, can he win this endgame without promoting? Even that would be like an amazing show of skill. If this bishop moves to the wrong square and he gets knight c3, he can. But it doesn't. Here comes the f-pawn. Maybe he's resigned to queening the f-pawn to win the game, or maybe he's hoping when the f-pawn gets close enough, Drittman will sack for it. That's a very good idea. People often sack for pawns that are about to queen, right? Or maybe he can trap this rook, right? With like his bishop and something, right? Like the rook could have just lifted and let the pawn queen, right? But instead it put itself in a trap. Look at that. That rook's trapped. Yeah, the king could have already just taken him out, but then there would have been king here, so he makes it easier. Now he's got bishop g4 check, as well as bishop h3. All right, I looked away from his clock for a little bit, but it looks like he's been doing fine on time. Comes in and takes the rook. Oh, he's got it. He's got it. I cannot believe that Lefong won this game. There was a moment there where there were like 100 ways he could have lost this. Now you can definitely checkmate. With an extra rook, that's enough to checkmate. He doesn't need the pawn. How many moves are left for the rook? Hostpud says 2. Oh, so that's like a problem. Oh, he can't take the rook with this pawn. He can't take the rook with this pawn. Are you kidding me? I didn't even see that rook e1 move. But Hostpud is down to like a couple seconds himself. Hostpud could just lose on time. That could be what he does. Rook g3 taking the bishop on g2 was really good. Oh, it's just a blitz off now. It's just a smash, 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 something, something, something. Seconds on the clock. He doesn't even want to spend a rook move on taking the bishop. Who's going to flag, folks? Probably Drittman, right? He's got 5 seconds. He's not the bullet master. He's just got to keep producing moves, but he's hesitating. 1 second left. And Lefong just had the nerves to just sit there and sit there and sit there. Nice thinking by Drittman to go take that. But he's going to get cornered here. Wow. That was perhaps the most exciting thing we've had. Did he just move the pawn 2 spaces? The h-pawn? We're going to have to go back and check the tape. If and when and after he checkmates. And now bishop g2 while the pawn moves. Or something. He's got the checkmate. Oh, and does it with a Zugzwang blocking the pawn. Does it with the Zugzwang blocking the pawn. Ah.
Oh, my goodness.
Unbelievable, Lefong. Unbelievable.
How many rook move is that? Like, I was that at 4 or something? Like,
let's see. The rook was at 2 moves on f7.
Oh.
Had 2 moves left at f7. And then you didn't move it again till checkmate. Oh, that's why you did this careful technique.
Yes.
So the rook even had 1 move left at the end.
David, you know the beginner puzzle? Okay, David.
Yeah.
Rook on C as white. Rook on C1, king on A1, and king on A8.
Yeah.
And you have to mate not moving the rook.
Yeah.
That paid off.
That's a great puzzle. Yeah. In fact, I can just like show that to people right here.
Oh,
right here. We can just show people the puzzle that he's referring to, guys. We're going to interrupt the excitement for a little instructive moment, okay? So check this out, folks. In this position here, if we take all this stuff off the board, it's rook on C1 and
king on A1 and king on A8.
King on A1 and A8. Right. So this position here, black to play.
Sorry, can I interrupt you for one moment?
Yeah, yeah.
Is there a way I can follow? Can I follow what you're doing? Is there a way to do it?
Perhaps, yeah. Let me do that. That's right. We've got people over on your chat. Yeah, I'm gonna invite you to an analysis board.
There you go. Okay.
Right. I happen to set it up on the wrong side of the board, but it's the same thing, right?
That's fine.
Yeah.
So that's an opposition problem. You're the teacher. You show it.
Okay, but I mean so Lefong says this puzzle here, it's black to play in checkmate with only 1 rook move. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what he had in mind as he was playing that bullet checkmate, trying to finish with his rook running out of moves. This one here. Yeah.
It's really cool, actually.
Yeah, very, very cool.
It's really cool.
So, Anyway,
Wait, what? But the people are wondering how to do it.
how to
though.
do it?
Okay, you're doing it. All right.
I'll play
Yeah,
some moves on here for them.
Yeah, so it's an opposition problem.
So you get
And
to this
whenever
kind of
he
a
goes-
position at some point, facing
Yeah.
each other. And the twist or the turn in this position is that if the opponent goes to h3, you come around them to f4.
Yeah.
They can't go up because you checkmate them on the other direction. We were first thinking the position was about rook f1 checkmate. But there's a checkmate on
Exactly.
h8 as well. So now the king can't go up. It has to back up again, right? And then king goes to
Yes.
g4. Same Zugzwang. King can back up or go sideways, right? Anytime he goes sideways, you flank him, and he has to watch out for that checkmate on the side. So if he goes back, you just keep pushing him back. And eventually, he has to go into the corner, just like Lefong did in the game. And you get this checkmate off of the stalemate. And Lefong did this by
David,
blocking that pawn with his bishop.
when I show my students this, and my teacher's mind is like, this is the most useless puzzle because it just shows opposition, right? For opposition is good, but like, when is it ever gonna happen? And then the gauntlet, of course, when you can't move your rook.
When you
5
can't
times,
move your
you have
rook.
to do it.
That kind of
Yes.
knowledge comes in. Oh, man.
Yes.
So, Lefong, we've got a lot of good news for you and one piece of bad news, okay? The good news is
Okay.
you won that game. Even though your opponent could have played bishop e5 check and won your queen, even though you dodged
I know.
even though you dodged 50 bullets that you saw whizzing by your head, you won that game. That's the good news. Other good news is you didn't flag. You got down as low as 10 seconds. So props to your opponent for really giving you a lot of hard things to think about. You didn't promote. You had that pawn on f2. That was brilliant to trap his rook with it. But when he came out with e1, that was like a genius move by him, right? When he brought his rook out through e1. And you were like, I could take it and win the game, but I'm going to risk it and keep trying to win the game without giving up those points. And you did it.
Yeah.
So congratulations on that. Unfortunately, you played your last h-pawn from h7 to h5.
No way. I did?
Yeah,
It was such an innocent move.
I know.
Really?
Once on the gauntlet-
Oh my goodness.
When I was on the gauntlet one game, Lefong, I was playing blindfolded and I was just totally like thinking chess, chess, chess. And guess what I did? I moved a pawn 2 squares. I played like f2, f4. Then I played f5,
Yeah.
and then I took a pawn en passant on g6. And I had both of those rules. It didn't even give me a good position. It was just random moves, you know?
I know.
And I just
my
did it.
goodness.
So
Hey, I'm not gonna complain. I mean, I was gonna lose this game. Like, just the fact that I won the game, I'm really happy.
you got to
Is
be
it someone
pumped
from
up
the
to win
chat?
that game. It was a
Was it yourself or
fantastic
someone?
middle game, fantastic end game. To win that end game was like a weird puzzle, like you say.
Yeah.
So you get 550 out of 750 points, and you're now at 1,500 going into round 3.
I have a couple like I have like an extra motivation here is that someone said before the show that he would gift 20 sub on my channel if I can reach 2,000. So
2,000.
I'm definitely going for 500
500
last
points.
round at the very least. But okay, I'm gonna think strategy here
Yeah.
because coming in the show, David, third place is pretty cool, right? Like but I need to shoot for 600 for that one, and 600 is so tough.
No, actually 500 would be enough to put you in third place for sure. Third place is only 1925. Let me call up the leaderboard so people can see what we're talking
third
about
place
here.
is 20. Oh, because I'm in first. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we
I
always
counted
put
myself.
the guest up here so that everyone can see like the score in progress.
Wait a sec. So all I have to do is beat you.
Yeah, all you have to do is beat me. You only need 450 points for that. If you go for 500, you're risking it for that extra money from one of your followers.
Well, I mean, for 20 subs, I'm definitely gonna go for 500.
Yeah.
I think I will do it.
Yeah, if you had any way to get to 600, you would pass Priyadarshan. That would be crazy for second place. But I don't know if that's possible. Let's find out who your opponent is and then see how brave or scared you're feeling. So, who is our round 3 opponent between 1,600 and 2,000 chess.com rating?
Oh my God. By the way, props to my opponent for playing a brilliant game. Like, he played really well.
Oh,
Man,
yeah.
My opening was so awful, but Rook G1, prophylactic move for F. I just missed it. I was like, what is he doing? I was doing my own thing.
Yeah, he played some absolutely fantastic, crazy moves.
I know.
And from one perspective, I felt bad for him that he didn't crown his attack with, like, rook takes g7 when your king was still on d7, and you could play queen a7 and win your queen, or bishop e5 check, or something. I almost felt bad for him because he played so great up to that point.
I know. Hey, the only thing I was banking on is like, please blunder queen b2 mate. I was just like,
yeah,
it was my only. Only
I
thing
know.
there.
And then when you realized you couldn't even repeat and you had to keep playing and run your king out, oh man.
David, there was one thing I was not aware of. I thought I was getting white every game. Is it random, or do you decide?
It's
what
sort of like, it was random originally when we did it, because we were having people challenge each other and it would just be like whatever color popped up. But now, to make things smoother, I've been starting the games for players just by typing in their usernames. It's faster. It saves us some production value on the show by not sitting there like, are you challenging me? Can you find my name? Is there a U after the H? What are the letters? So I've been doing that. And in order to make it like semi-fair to people who had random colors before, I'm going white, black, white.
Okay, because
So
that
sort of
influences my choices too, right? Like, I didn't know I was black last game.
Yeah,
And
I saw you go like, oh,
every
at the start, and I was like,
oh
my.
I'm black. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's.
But with your pawns moving one square, it's always like you're super black. All right, Braden, are you offering to be the third round opponent? He volunteers.
Okay, I'm gonna say something. Like Braden is actually the one who's gonna give 20 subs. I don't want to play him because I don't want any doubt of like,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want
like
to
he
have a
lost on
conflict of
purpose in
interest.
order to lose his own money or something. All right.
I don't know, but I would rather like have it like 100% fair. Like no one can say anything if I win the game. You know what I mean?
All right.
Braden, sorry, but I
So
really
who do
want
we
to play
have?
someone who is like
Blue Elvis, Counter Sparks. We need someone between 1,600 and 2,000. I know there's somebody in that rating
Blue
here.
Elvis is also
very common.
Like Blue Elvis is in my chat, so I'd rather not play someone from my chat. Like, to be completely fair, like play someone from your chat.
Oh
or
yeah,
something.
Gothmog is fair. Gothmog is 1760 rapid, a bit higher in blitz, but that's consistent with the rapid. That's fine.
Okay.
All right, Gothmog is perfect. Gothmog is a perfect round 3 opponent. Okay, so you're going to have white against Gothmog TV, who is rated 1760 chess.com rapid.
Okay. So 3 minute times 3, that's for sure.
Okay.
No promotion.
Okay.
And then I need 100 more points. Oh, there you go. Knights. Oh man, do I go for it? I'm white, right?
You're white.
Okay, let's go. Knights cannot touch the rim, and no en passant. And I'm at 500 on the dot.
That would be 525. That'll definitely get you over 2,000.
Okay, let me just reason this like one last time.
Absolutely.
So 500. Is there a better way to do it? Chat, is there a better way to do it?
They can't help you now.
They can, right?
Gothmog, can you give me the spelling of your chess.com username? I think it's got TV in it, but I think the last O might be a 0 instead of an O. So just give me the spelling while he's double checking the handicap so I don't mess it up.
People are telling me that no promotion is brutal, but like, I think I have to go for it because I don't see anything else. Like I'm just gonna play a normal game. No, I'm gonna beat it. No, let's go. Okay.
Gothmog 0 TV. Okay.
So you got to remove some of the selected handicap.
All right. So
I'm
we've
playing
got
for
these
third place
525 here. And we're going to go over here. We're going to get rid of the rooks. And we're going to get rid of the pawns only move one space.
Yeah. And for the last round, maybe like just give me 45 seconds instead of 30, just so I'm really, really ready.
Really ready. Okay. I'm good with that.
So knights cannot touch rim. That's it. Like, okay, this feels so great. And I can move my pawns 2 squares. Okay.
Yeah.
No promotion.
All right. What do you think,
no,
folks?
I'm not playing blindfold. I'm not playing blindfold.
What do you think, folks? Is Lefong going to crack 2,000 on the gauntlet?
This is pretty sick.
It
okay,
is very
so
sick.
should I mute myself?
Absolutely. I'll give you 30 seconds after you mute yourself, and then I'll start the games. We've got a prediction up from Kostya. I'm muting myself.
Thank you, David.
On Zoom.
I'm muting myself now.
Best of luck to both players. Round 3 gets underway. Prediction up. You guys think he's going to do it? You think he's going to pass me? I've got a bad feeling he might. But no promotion is tough against a good player. Gothmog can play for the end game. I mean, the round 3 opponents, you know, you see the Gauntlet contestant and you see how strong they are in the first 2 rounds, and you're like, okay, they're an amazing player. But then sometimes in round 3, you're like, wait a minute. The person playing against the contestant is so good. How are they supposed to win with handicaps? Well, we're about to find out. And this game is off. Up here, you can see the handicaps that he has selected. It must feel so good to move his pawns again, right? It's like taking off all the weights, right? It's like when Lee can finally take off the weights against Gara. And, oh man, his rooks have taken off their weights as well, right? Before, he would have never spent a move just putting a rook on an open file, right? All right. Lefong does not think that blindfold is his strength, Sergeant. Yeah. His strength is playing super, super fast when he can see the board. That's what he thinks relatively. He'd rather take on some more handicaps and have 1 minute on the clock than have a lot of time on the clock, but try and do it all blindfold. Yeah. Of course you would have, Braden. All right, d5 comes in. He even gets to flex some opening theory here. This variation is good for white. Well, it's the Grunfeld, of course it is. No, but this is like a thing, you know, black can take on c3 check, but that's why the rook's here. Then you play bishop d2, trade bishops, queen comes into the dark squares. Remember I told you that these like bishop checks and then the opponent plays bishop d2, that's a way of like giving your opponent development time. You guys remember that from the classical today? Queen d2. Actually, Lefong and I looked at this variation together 18 years ago when we met. We looked at this line of the Grunfeld together. That's when I learned this line. That's crazy. I'm just remembering. Yeah, you have to castle here. You can't play c4 because of bishop a5, even though you want to. c4 would end black. But you have to castle here, and black gets to trade the e-pawn for the e-pawn at least. So now you don't have the same control over f5. Because f5 would destroy black's king without a bishop here. But now f5, black will be able to take with the bishop because there's no pawn on e4. White will sack in exchange, and it'll be super complicated. It's not just like a clear, easy attack for white. So far, both of them know their line pretty well. We got lots of people wagering thousands of gauntlet points here on this one. Whew. Yeah, there's supposed to be enough different handicaps in the menu, folks, so that the contestants have more than one strategy possible, right? And we tried to set the points so that, you know, there are different strategies that are viable. So that, you know, it's not like you should always take the bishop's handicap or always take the rook's handicap or something. But, but we didn't want to have so many different handicaps that it was confusing, right? So that's why there's 15. This light squared bishop trade would be great for Lefong, actually, I think. Because after the bishops would trade, if his queen, well, especially if black takes and puts white's queen on d3, then there's like nothing stopping him from playing f5. He can also play bishop b2, and he gets this crazy diagonal. Okay, queen d7 is a better move than just trading, but Lefong still gears up for queen c3. I mean, as I said, this line is just good for white, and it's still looking just good for white at the moment. What does he have to do? He has to not promote and not take en passant. Well, yeah, he's good so far on all of those things. He's got 10 minutes on the clock. I mean, he's got his full minute left on the clock. Everything's looking fine for him so far. If I had to bet, I would say given this position, I'm going to bet on Lefong at the moment. But I go back and forth all the time, guys. All right, queen c3, f6. It's forced. The king's a bit weak, but the game's not over yet. Trades the pawn. Trades the bishop. Huh. I was just starting to look at pawn takes pawn on b5, but maybe I was too late. I was thinking pawn takes pawn on b5. They can't take at the moment. If they take here, there's bishop c4. Oh, it would have been bishop trade and then taking on b5. Yeah, okay. That was the idea. So Lefong goes this way. If the rook takes, maybe he's got queen c4 as a cool move. And if queen takes d5, he's probably happy enough to just play a4, right? And play the better pawn structure, plus the center is open. He wants to eventually get to the 7th rank this game. That's the thought. That's the thought. To eventually open up the black king. Okay, no time for a4. He just goes straight to d7. So he's saying that queen a2, rook d7 is already crushing. I'm not sure if it is, but that's what he's saying. And he's the contestant. Gothmog thinks for a bit and doesn't want any of taking that pawn. That might have been a time to spend a minute thinking. I don't know. Maybe it's just my pawn grubbing coming in. Oh, at least 5, Kostya. At least 5. I feel like more like 8. I don't know. A bunch. Anybody who bet on Lefong not making it right now should probably be quaking in their boots a little bit. Ooh, trying to trade pieces is a good idea for Gothmog because Lefong can't promote. There's a limit to how much he could trade off, right? Like if he played rook takes rook, rook takes rook, queen takes f6, winning a pawn, that's a big no-no. I mean, you're not going to win a one pawn up endgame without promoting against a player like Gothmog. You know, it's not going to happen. But we are seeing some endgame theory develop, right? Like there are ways to like gain space with your pass pawn even if you don't queen it and use it to sort of like take away space from the opponent, cramp their pieces. You saw how Lefong almost won a rook in that endgame by trapping that rook. It was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. We're starting to see some innovations in endgame theory, as Kostya said. King h1 allows queen takes c5 to be a threat. But Gothmog is completely still in the game. But you see Lefong here again, right? Like an example, like not going for queen f6. He knows he needs a middle game. So king h1, he keeps a middle game for now. What's he going to have to do? He's going to have to get rid of his back rank mate if he wants to get aggressive with this rook, right? He has to pick which of these pawns is going to move up at some point, I think. I don't see how he wins the game without bringing the rook out at some point. He might want to play f5, g5 to weaken some of these squares, but f5, g5 opens this diagonal, so then his king has back rank mate again. So he chooses to leave the pawn here, shelter the king from there, get rid of back rank mate with the h-pawn, and have h5 in reserve. Maybe it's just finally being able to move his pawns 2 squares. He wants to move every single one of them 2 squares. Has he moved a single pawn 1 square this game? Only really the pawn that captured the knight on c3 in the opening, right? That was it. Everybody else has just gone like boom, boom, forward, forward. And MT Peb welcomes you to the dojo. MG Weirdo, Kiro1717, Pegasus Swede, Swedish, Chuchun 14, and Kusi 59. Thank you, MT Peb. Thank you. Very nice. Moosey holds up a hand. I'm a kid. X Factor with the Bezos bucks. Thank you, X Factor. Gothmog in the tank. Thinking about what to do here. Now he's got to play like really tough chess. Lefong's got that sort of one big handicap that he doesn't want to go into the end game so much because he can't promote. He needs to have he's got some sense of how big an advantage he thinks he needs to go into the end game. He's traded off all the knights. They didn't touch the rim. I'm just going to double check in my mind. Yeah, they were traded off on like move 8 straight out of this opening variation. So he's got that down for sure. Xanth throws another $3 at the gauntlet pot. I'll have to tabulate those manually later and add to the prize. Just over $900 now on our goal of $800. And okay, F5 does come in, trying to crack Black's position, But Gothmog gets one more trade in, and Gothmog is not trading immediately. Gothmog's thinking about c3, I think. Gothmog's thinking like, could I mess this dude up? Could I play c3 if bishop c3, rook c8, win that piece? Maybe. Can I go for it? I know this guy's good, but can I? Simple approach is, you trade, you just keep praying that, one more piece and it'll be impossible for your opponent to win without a promotion, right? He's one piece away. All he has to do is force Lefong to promote, and he'll keep me in third place on the leaderboard. Come on, Gothmog. Come on. Keep David on the leaderboard. Whoa, a fast move. That one just came zipping in. Rook e4, queen f2, covering h4. Now it could be pawn takes f5. It could even be the move g5. There's a lot of things it could be here. g5 is super risky and double-edged for both players. Lefong's got 29 seconds left. Gothmog 2 minutes. Great time usage. You see the skills that these players have. These are not chumps that our contestants are going up against. These are experienced, strong chess players. Running the c-pawn. Whew, trying to win that game. Trying to win that game. Now what? Queen c4 is even possible, but there's an attack possible with rook a7. Queen takes a7. It just like whips up out of nowhere. And it probably works. There's a variation. For those of you who can calculate really fast, queen c4, rook d8, king f7, queen a7, rook e7, pawn takes pawn on g6. That little f-pawn being in contact breaks up black's play. All right, and now black goes for g5. It is so complicated here. Gets control of h4 for the rook checks. The f-pawn comes forward and takes away more squares from the white king. Queen f5 is coming in next. I have no idea what's going to happen. If I had to throw some dojo gold down, I'd put it on Lefong. Come on, Lefong. This position's so messy. I believe in you. Wait, no. I don't want you breaking my record. Haha, rook f4. Nice move, Gothmog. Uh-oh. It was not a nice move. Lefong has got it. He thinks. He's getting ready to celebrate. Should we warm up the axe? Folks? Has he got it? Is there any defense? On queen g6, rook h8. On king h6, rook h8. On rook f5, queen f5, and then the same problem. Oh, he's coming in. He's checkmating on g7 too. Oh my God, Lefong Hua has overtaken me on the leaderboard. So far, it's been pretty good to bet on the contestants in general, hasn't it, folks? As Gothmog counts out your dojo gold. Resignation. Let's go. Axe. Boom.
Let's go. I can't believe it.
Lefong coming up the leaderboard. Let's put in the points. 525 in round 3. That is a hefty sum. It is hard to score like that in round 3, my friend.
I'm speechless.
Ooh.
Justin with a 5. Thank you so much. Brendan with the 20 gifted sub. Subs are pouring on my channel, David.
Pouring. Ding, ding. You don't even need
some energy everywhere. Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. David. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll get back to you afterwards. But hey, I hope the energy is good on your chat because it's crazy right here.
You don't even need the prize money, right, Lefong? This show is so exciting that the people are just throwing their money in your face.
Wow. No, but hopefully it was a good show for you too because I was lost every single game. I was just lost.
Yeah, that's right. Your game with Dritman was definitely exciting TV. This game just now, I think a queen and rook position ended up being like pretty good for what you were trying to do, actually. Like that kind of worked out, but it was really hard to figure out what position you were going to win in the middle game, right? Since you didn't have promotion on.
I couldn't take on f6. If I take on f6, it just trades queen. I'm never going to win that endgame, right?
Yeah,
so
I don't think so.
I have to go for mates.
Yeah.
But then I'm screwing my position, right? Like I'm letting him push c3, like rook e4. It's just bad. And I'm just counting on on him blundering, but
yeah.
what a game.
Wow.
What
Yeah.
a game.
Finally, he made that double-edged decision to play G5, and then you trade, put your pawn on F6, and that's where he starts to get in trouble. Till then, it's really sharp.
Yeah. Yeah. And props to him for like hanging in there. It was really
Yeah.
like, I love my 3 games. I was more stressed than like playing the pool and like normal chess. It's really stressful to have to win like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. He played a great game. He used his time really well. Both him and Dripman, they used like the full 10 minutes against you. You know, they didn't try and like bullet with you, which would have been a big mistake. Yeah. Tough time. Congratulations, Lefong.
I'm speechless, David. That was so exciting, and I mean, I'm completely speechless right now. I'm so happy I did it. Honestly, like I came to the show with absolutely no expectation, but I think practicing yesterday really helped. Like it really helped on my stream. I know you were in my chat.
Yeah,
that really helped. I mean, no, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I love my experience.
Practice definitely helps. The first couple times, I tested this thing extensively before we sort of settled on the points. Kostya and I did like, you know, like a dozen runs, you know, to try and like fit the points right. So it wouldn't be like you always want knights or you always want bishops, you know, like it should be viable to try different handicaps depending on a player's preference. So I tried a bunch of times and like I got so much better over time, you know. Like actually my 1900, I would say I got a little bit unlucky that run. Not trying to like, you know, talk myself up or anything, but like I completely forgot what 2 of the handicaps were one game. I just spaced out.
Okay.
You know, and I failed a big one in the first round against the 800 to 1200 opponent. I failed like a big one. The capturing every 6 moves. There was one point where it took me 7 moves instead of 6. So I was like a hair away.
This one's so brutal.
And that costs you basically a 400 point swing, you know? But when I was practicing, you know, when I first started the gauntlet, I was scoring like 1300, 1400. And then like I even hit like 2500 to 3000 in some practice runs.
Wow.
So it's possible. Like if you take risks and try several times, obviously sometimes you'll get a lot of points, you know? But crossing 2000, that is fantastic. Congratulations, Lefong.
I mean, I can't complain given the fact that I got lucky in some games. It wasn't smooth. It wasn't smooth at all. You know? Like I had to fight, especially the second game. I was like this close to resigning. Almost like my queen was gone.
Yeah.
Listen, I had so much fun. Thank you so much to ChessDojo for organizing this. I really had fun. Hello to the whole community. You guys raid me like all the time, and it's the same here. Whenever I have a chance, I raid you guys. You guys are awesome, and congrats for like the growth. Congrats for everything that you guys are doing. And guys from Night Chat, last chance, go follow them. They're fantastic. And I would be happy to do it again for sure.
Yeah. Well, we will be happy to have you back on in the regular season. Obviously, you belong on this show with the Grandmasters. One last thing that the show can give to you, we're shouting you out one more time in channel, folks. You can go follow Lefong, give him some follows to go with all those subs he just won for himself. And we'll see you guys next Saturday.
I'm just gonna tell you something. Like there's a party going right. I'm partying on my channel. So whenever you guys are done, like people will come to my channel. It's gonna be a party. Like I'm so happy. I'm gonna keep on streaming. So
well, actually, I mean, unless Kostya's got something planned, I was planning to probably just raid you right here because I've been streaming since 7 a.m. and I think we're gonna take a break here. Kostya says go ahead and do it. So I will say goodbye to you, but I will send you all my friends.
Thank you so much, David.